Hello, good people, and welcome to Finest Insights. Here, we turn complex data into clarity using data stories and visuals to help you get some insights that you may have missed. Did you know that Ghana has received in excess of over $11 billion since we first discovered oil in 2010? Yet today, the country is more indebted than when we first discovered black gold over 14 years ago. How did we get here? Well, let's follow the numbers and the insights in this short story.
The elusive windfall, Ghana's 14-year oil odyssey. In 2010, a promise was born in the deep waters of the Jubilee Field. It began as a trickle, the first flow of black gold that many believed would rewrite the destiny of a nation. For 14 years, that trickle became a flood. Since then, Ghana has pumped approximately 675 million barrels of crude oil from the earth. We stood on the precipice of a new era, holding the keys to a treasure chest worth $11.58 billion. The golden peak has suddenly become a receding memory. Since 2022, output has fallen steadily. Today, the windfall is drying up. Since 2022, we peaked at $1.43 billion. The numbers for 2025 tell a haunting story. In just the first half of the year, receipts crashed to $370 million, less than half of what we earned in the same period just 1 year prior. While the cedi depreciates, the value of our liquid gold is slipping through our fingers. Now let's take a moment and see where the $11.58 billion went. Here's a breakdown. Of the $11.58 billion, $3.15 billion was poured back into the sea to fund GNPC's search for more oil in exploration and further development. $2.6 billion was set aside in the Stabilisation Fund to catch us when we fall and to provide an economic buffer. $1.1 billion was locked away in the Heritage Fund for children who haven't yet been born, a savings for future generations. The key allocation is the annual budget funding amount, which so far has taken in $4.5 billion in infrastructure and programs. Now, ABFA is very important in this story because this $4.5 billion is what has created some visible landmarks, serving as the most direct link between the oil fields and the citizenry. Some key landmarks is the building of the Terminal 3 at Kotoka International Airport. This was mostly funded by the ABFA funds. The railway from Kojo Krom to Takwa was also funded by the ABFA, and it also opened the doors to the free SHS program. The investments are visible, yet the wider promise of oil wealth feels like a ghost. Why? Because Ghana has been building without a blueprint, without a long-term national development plan approved by Parliament. Our oil money has been spent on a patchwork of projects. We've launched too many things at once, stretching our $4.5 billion so thin that we've created a cycle of bottlenecks, delays, and expensive cost overruns. Yes, we've built the airports, the schools, and the pipelines, but we have not yet built a transformed economy. We've invested without transformation. Too many concurrent projects, causing bottlenecks and delays with significant cost overruns. What we have is a broad distribution of wealth, which has really not given us the impacts of this oil windfall. Funds have been consumed by the process of building rather than acting as a catalyst for sustainable economic shifts? Well, there was a turnaround in 2025. Government introduced the Big Push Pivot. Now, what this is supposed to do is to allocate 95% of the ABFA to a single priority. The strategy for government is to move from a broad distribution to a concentrated betting. The bet, a nationwide road construction. The goal for government is that this conscious investment in road infrastructure will be able to deliver the prosperity promised 14 years ago, and hence the Big Push agenda. But here's the reality. We are managing a finite resource in a changing world. The threat is that the world is moving away from fossil fuels. And while the world moves away from fossil fuels, our petroleum management rules, which were written over a decade ago, is for a world that no longer exists. We cannot afford to manage a finite resource with an infinite lack of planning. Well, maybe you can take a cue from Norway. Norway, in managing its oil resources, has decided to preserve capital in a sovereign wealth fund and spends only the interest, while Ghana, for most part, consumes the principal, with short-term political cycles dictating long-term allocations. Ghana's lack of a guiding framework has allowed immediate consumption of most of its principal wealth, rather than growing it. We obviously need some scrutiny before the wells run dry. We must demand fresh scrutiny of our petroleum laws. There should be a national development plan that would outlast our oil fields and ensure that the legacy that this oil windfall leaves behind is a transformed nation, not just a patchwork of projects. The oil may one day stop flowing. What remains depends on the choices that we make today. This has been a Finance Insights Data Story.
Thank you so much for joining us in this story. Hope you've learned something. If you have any suggestions, any comments, please put them in the comment section below. In the meantime, if you have any topic you want us to create a data story from, please feel free to reach out to us or put it in the comment. We'll pick it up. Follow our stories on YouTube, Finance Insights. We have an X page where we share topical issues on Africa and in Ghana. Thank you so much for watching, and we see you in the next story.